Hello YouTube world, Pretend Farmer here. We've got out our tactical night vision gear and we are going to sneak into the chicken coop to see what they do in the dark. Now before we go in there, I just want to tell you some things about chickens and why they do what they do. Why do chickens roost? Well, chickens obviously, before they were domesticated, were a wild bird. And it's ingrained in them to try and get as high off the ground as possible to avoid predators. I mean, when they lived in the jungles or wherever in the woods, chickens had to fend for themselves. They didn't have a nice fancy coop like we've got here. So chickens, just like turkeys, anything else, they try and get up as high as they can just to keep themselves safe. It's kind of like their instinct for survival. When it gets dark, chickens cannot see in the dark. They don't have night vision. They basically have the same kind of vision at night that we do. So when it gets dark, the chickens will make their way up to their roost and they'll fly up on the bars. And chickens don't sleep standing up. They actually will get up on the bars and then squat down and sit on their feet to sleep at night. They'll do this before it gets completely dark, because when it gets dark, they can't see. And a chicken will just simply sit motionless in the dark because they can't see where they're going. So they'll stay on those roost bars all night long, regardless if they're sleeping or not. You know, one other cool fact about chickens is the way their eyeballs are wired up to their brain's kind of divided into two different hemispheres. A chicken can be awake and asleep at the same time. And they can actually have one eye closed and be sleeping while the other eye is open and semi-alert, which I find kind of weird and creepy, but it's a real thing. If you don't believe me, go check it out and read about it. It gets pretty scientific. Pretend Farmer is just a simple chicken farmer here. I can't really fully explain it any better than that, but I do know chickens can be asleep and awake at the same time. In the dark, they just they go into like a comatose type state at nighttime. And this is a great time to get in there and really check your chickens out. If you've got birds that are real flighty or they're skittish, they don't want you messing with them during the daytime. A chicken that's like that in the daylight will let you do whatever you want to it in the dark. Let me show you how calm they get when they're up on the roost. All right, so we've got our baby chicks down there. They're still sleeping in the nest box because they're not quite big enough to roost yet. These chocolate Orpingtons are very skittish. They don't mind me petting them in the dark though. Bucky is finally demonstrating how chickens sleep. You can see he's not standing up. Well, he is now. But you saw how he was sitting down on his feet there. He's just kind of squatting down. That's how they sleep. They'll squat down on their feet. And this is actually how they keep their toes from freezing in the wintertime. See, there's one of those nighttime predators that they got to watch out for. If they were to just sleep on the ground, for sure, this tiger would get them. You know, nighttime's a great time if you want to trim your rooster's spurs or clip their wings. Some people like to do that. You just pick them right up off the roost. They'll let you mess with them. They won't put up any kind of fight at all. Chickens that would normally run from you in the daytime, they'll let you handle them. You know, the key is you just want to keep the light dim. You don't want to go in there with a high-powered spotlight because it's going to light the place up and they're going to go everywhere. If you use one of those red infrared lights like the Pretend Farmer's got, something that's going to just put off a really low beam, just enough for you to see, but not necessarily disrupt the chicken's sleep pattern, you can get in there, pick them up off the roost, put them right back on. Everything stays calm and cool. This might be the scariest video I've ever done. I'm hearing weird noises. Wow. I look like the evil Pretend Farmer now. It's kind of creepy. I'm gonna have to remember this for Halloween. But yeah, so you're wondering now, well, what about people that light up their coops? A lot of people, when you get into the winter months, they'll put lights in their coop either for heat purposes or just to give the chickens, a lot of people do it so their chickens will continue to lay more, because a lot of that comes down to how much light they've got in the day. And so people put light in their coop to try and trick the chickens into thinking they've got longer days, and the chickens will end up laying more than if they didn't have that light. But that light, as I said, chickens, they mainly stay motionless at night because they can't see. You put a light in their coop, they're not going to sleep as much and they'll end up being more distressed. So that time of winter that's supposed to be kind of a natural break for chickens ends up being not much of a break at all. The chickens, a lot of times, you have a light in there, they'll be down walking around scratching in the shavings at midnight. I've seen it. I've got a camera in there. So I don't recommend you light up your coops. There's been times we've had to do it here, but overall, you want to keep it as dark as possible inside the coop. Put the lights out around the run to deter predators. Thanks for coming along for our nighttime chicken adventure here on the Pretend Farm. And if you got any questions or comments that you'd like to make about chickens and what they do at nighttime, feel free to drop them down below. It's about time for the Pretend Farmer to be going into his roost bar. Till next time, this is Pretend Farmer going to bed.